Hello, my lovely. We know as women with adult diagnosed ADHD that we did not get to where we are right now by doing things the way everyone else did, right? We know we've often felt like the weirdo in the room. I know I did for a really, really long ass time. We're natural born storytellers and industry disruptors, and we love to shake shit up. We don't like being told what to do, but also low key help us by telling us what to do in a way that speaks to our brains because we are wired to see the world in a different way. I know that my diagnosis, which was at 49 years old and happened while running this business, changed every area of my life. And I don't say that anecdotally, I mean that literally. It also changed my business for the better because I got curious and I started working in the way that my brain worked. I started to simplify to scale my business and I created recurring monthly revenue so I never have to start another month at zero again. And that is what I teach my clients how to do. It's my signature method called the spicy minded way. And all that means is that my ADHD brain and 25 years of business experience talks to your ADHD brain. And that is how we figure out what works for you. In today's episode, we will discuss my 2-year ADHD diagnosis anniversary, me being told I'm not a disruptor or a rebel, and why that pissed me off. And we will discuss the following question: are you acting like a CEO or an employee? So, from one ADHD human to another, turn the volume up to 11 and get ready to learn a thing or two. Welcome back to the ADHD Entrepreneur, the podcast for ADHD millennial women who refuse to play by the rules, who are ready to show up as their feral ass selves because beige is boring, and who want to simplify their businesses to scale them. My name is Carrie. I'm your host. I am the ADHD business alchemist, and I go by the chief weirdo of my business, Carrie Out Loud. If you are new here, welcome. I am so glad you found the podcast. If this episode has an impact on you, could you do me a quick favor? Subscribe, turn on the notifications so you can come back for the new episode every Wednesday, and leave a 5-star review with what episode you loved and what you loved about it. That will help other women like you find the podcast. And since I understand your ADHD, not only professionally, but personally, each episode has a few topics. It's wrapped together in a way that speaks to our feral funhouse of brain. It's kind of more random trains of thought. So it's not one episode that just has one topic. There's going to be a few. So, like I said earlier, the first topic we are going to chat about is yesterday was March 6th, and that is my 2-year anniversary of my ADHD diagnosis. And so it is wild to me that it has already been 2 years, but also that it's barely been 2 years. It's very interesting to have those two feelings. And so yesterday I did a little bit of reflecting on what ADHD has given me, what my diagnosis has given me, how I feel about it today, as opposed to what I felt when I first got the diagnosis. If you're curious about hearing that part in real time, you can go back to episode, I believe it's 59, and you'll be able to hear where I was in real time around, I think, 4 months or so after my diagnosis. So that would be a great episode to listen to if you are more newly diagnosed, or if you just want a little bit more of hearing what it was like, what I was like then compared to now, to see how far you will be able to come over time. So here are some of the things that I shared. And so here we go. My ADHD has given me tenacity. I've never given up on myself, even when other people have. I knew I was worthy of having everything I wanted, so I always kept going. My ADHD has made me resilient as fuck. And no matter how often I was pushed down or told to be less or told to fit into someone else's mold, I just wouldn't. And that's always worked to my benefit for the most part. I said always. Okay. For the most part, that's worked to my benefit. Being resilient will always work to your benefit, though. My ADHD actually has made me love business since I was 15. I was in a high school club that was business and entrepreneurial related. And I only recently remembered, probably in the last few months, that I was even in that club in high school. So I already had that kind of ingrained in me as a teenager, which is wild to think about now as I look back. And I know that ADHD shows up in our younger years. So that really explains a lot. My love for business ownership started very young, apparently. My ADHD flavor has made me hate desk jobs. 9 to 5 was never my jam. I've had desk jobs, but the irony is I've always been laid off, not fired, laid off. And I know for some ADHD humans, being laid off or fired is not uncommon, especially if you are undiagnosed and you are not able to, you don't know that you have it. And so it's unmanaged. But back to what I was about to share. In 2019, I was laid off for the final time. I promised myself I would never go back or try to fit in. I just knew it wasn't for me. And that's no shade to anybody who's listening, who's an employee, who's found a job that you love because it works for you. And oftentimes, people with ADHD will find employment that does still have some flexibility and freedom in it. It is really hard for the desk job life. It just is. And I knew that was not for me. My brain is too full of ideas, and my desire for the flexibility and the freedom has always run deeper than sitting at a desk job doing boring shit that I hated. And I started my first business when I was 24. I built it to 6 figures without even knowing I had ADHD. I had a second 6 figure business, but I burned both of those down because I would hit burnout and I didn't understand why. Now I do. And that's why I can build the business I have now differently. I have strategy based on my brain and working with my brain, and stop thinking that I needed to hustle, hustle, hustle until I just hit burnout city. That is not the way to go when it comes to our ADHD ass selves. My ADHD has made me a loyal fucking human. Once someone is in my inner circle, I love and adore them fiercely, and I make sure they know it. Have I lost friendships? Have I had challenges in friendships? For sure. Because until we understand what's going on, sometimes that can create difficulties in relationships of all kinds, friendships, partnerships, etc. But the one thing I will say is I am a fiercely loyal person, and I don't plan to stop doing that. ADHD has made me a fighter for myself, for others, for the greater good. It's given me a desire to do something bigger with my life than a lot of other human beings I know, except the fellow women that I have in business, my business best friends, my colleagues. I know you're always all in and always down for the ride. My ADHD has made me compassionate and empathetic, and I've often been called overly emotional or that I have big feelings like it's a bad thing. And I realize that's a bunch of bullshit. I'm at the right level of emotional, and I love that I have big feelings, that big passion, the big sense of purpose. It makes me feel human inside my body day in and day out. My ADHD diagnosis gave me a very unexpected side effect, which was self love and self esteem. That's one thing that I and others had torn down in me over a lifetime, decades. I used to think I was a weirdo, that I was less than, that I was flighty, that I was rude for being late. Hello, time blindness. That I was lazy, unproductive, and all other kinds of words that I assigned myself, even though I was actually none of those things. I was very hardworking. I was always very tenacious. I have had successes, even though I burned them down because I didn't understand and I had just hit this wall. But those words were things I assigned until I really understood the true culprit of what made me feel that way. And that's a neurological condition that I've had for a lifetime that I didn't know I had. And maybe you can relate to that. It means I've survived 100% of the most challenging fucking days of my life. No matter what's pushed me down, I've popped back up like one of those like weeble wobble punching bags, like those clowns where you like punch it down and it's whoop, it just pops back up. I have always stood up, dusted myself off, and kept fucking going. And that means that no matter who's tried to tell me that I couldn't do something, I'm like, oh yeah, watch me. And then I would go do the fucking thing. An example I have is in junior high, a teacher told me I would never be able to type. So now, of course, I type 80 words a minute and I'm really accurate because I didn't accept that bullshit as the truth. I was like, oh, yeah, watch me. Ended up in one of my day jobs where I was a paralegal for a few years, that typing that fast actually was something that my boss would applaud often, because I got my work done quickly. So isn't that ironic, right? Another thing that I know is this is a fact, Jack. How you look at your ADHD matters. It matters. Looking at the upsides of my ADHD and in my life has always served me better. Looking at the upsides of life and of my ADHD once I knew it, that I had it. There have been challenging things I contend with. There are challenges I contend with on a day-to-day basis. I don't pretend. There is not shit that I am not a fan of when it comes to my neurodivergence. Going from 0 to fuck off sometimes in 2 seconds flat when you feel rejected, or, certain things that just happen in day-to-day life, but I can manage them so much better. And there are treatments and tools available for us to learn. And I don't just mean medication here, right? Getting diagnosed was one of the best things that ever happened in my life. And at first, I did not feel that way, even though I was the one who thought the assessment. When I was told I had it, I experienced a shit ton of feelings that I did not expect. And I experienced them for a while. And back to episode 59, I talked all about that in there. But once I walked through those emotions and not around them, it has been uphill ever since. 100, as me and my two business besties say it, 300%. It's 300% better. I got curious. I learned about my ADHD and the traits that I had that were related to it. I've educated myself. I've helped inform others. Woman to woman discussions are how other women become aware that this is something they may contend with and put it on their radar so that they can figure out that it may be something they contend with and they can do something about it. And I know there are some humans who have ADHD that live in a state of, woe is me. I will never judge anyone for that because we all have lenses that we look at life through that are based on our life, our experience, but the lens we look through matters. Our brain will look for proof of the positive or the negative the way that we look at life. I've talked about that many, many times before. And so, of course, I won't judge anyone for their life or their history of that lens. But for me, that is not how I am. I've never been that way. I never will be. So it's hard for me to understand, but I get it. I do get it. For me, I choose to see all the beautiful things about my ADHD that make me me, and I embrace them. And I live my life with a lot of curiosity and joy. I've allowed myself to start having more experiences in life as opposed to just doing this or doing that. I love a good experience. The hubs gave me a surprise 2 days ago and took me to see my absolute, like, I have two top favorites. I have a favorite band. If you've been around a while, you know my crazy passion for music. And so I have my favorite band is Johnny Swim, not Teddy Swims, but Johnny Swim, one word, and Andy Grammer. And Andy Grammer's music has always spoken to me. I listen to it almost every morning to kind of wake me up and pump me up. And um, he has always said, my music is for people who have been through some shit. That's us, baby. We've been through some shit. So he surprised me with a VIP experience. I got to actually meet Andy Grammer. I got to actually hug him, take photos with him. He smelled like unicorns and rainbows and like he had freshly showered, which was awesome. I got him to autograph my wallet. There's a couple of pictures on my Instagram in my highlights that say live music if you want to see a little bit of that experience. But experiences like that are things that I did not really allow myself to have, and I would resist. And that was always so hard for me. So 2 years have gone by so quickly, but the changes in every area of my life will be with me for the rest of forever. And I am so fucking grateful that I pushed for that diagnosis. Even after I was told I didn't have it, And I waited over a year. I still went back. I still pushed for that. And I'm so grateful I did. So I'm excited to see what year 3 brings. There's a lot of good things going on in my business. The ecosystem that I'm building and the way that I run things is so different now, and it works so much better for the way that my brain works. And so I just feel a lot of gratitude around that, around yesterday. I was a little more emotional than I thought I would be, but how could I not be? Like, this was a huge life changing event. So let's jump on the next train. Um, I recently was thrown for a loop because I had a friend tell me I am not a disruptor or a rebel. And I was like, the fuck? Like, are you I mean, I was, like, surprised. You're not a disruptor or a rebel. It totally caught me off guard because a lot of what I do in my business and my life is built around challenging the norms and breaking the mold and showing up as the fullest expression of myself, the most me I can be, because I hid so much of that for such a long time. So it made me pause, and I'm just like, am I not enough of a rebel? Am I not enough of a disruptor? Am I soft around the edges? And then I realized something. Disruption isn't just about being loud or shaking up things in a not in a not big way, but it's about creating impact in a way that is different and unique. And I realized that, I don't need to prove I'm a disruptor. I just need to keep doing what I'm doing. And that's helping ADHD women become industry disruptors in their industries, like I'm doing in mine, because I am teaching adult diagnosed ADHD women how to run businesses differently. That is not a common thing out in, the industry that I'm in. There are people who work with ADHD entrepreneurs, but not late diagnosed women specifically. They may talk about that, but I specifically work with you because of the fact that we have certain things that we contend with because of the later diagnosis and because of being female, that others who have known they've had it their whole life contend with. I'm not saying they don't contend with certain things, but it is just different. It is just different. And so I'm here to keep telling you, stay feral, rebel. Don't play into neurotypical shit where people say, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that. Keep seeing the upsides of your ADHD and what's possible, not what's, not limitations or what limits that puts on you. I'm here to help dismantle the lies that ADHD women are told about what we can and can't do in business, or that we've told ourselves, or that other people tell us, even to this day, right? And by teaching women like you how to simplify things, to simplify your business, and to actually work with your brain instead of trying to shove you into places that you don't belong, I feel that's an act of rebellion, because that is like, no, you do not have to do shit the way everybody else does. That is not your fucking obligation. You get to figure it out in the way that works for you and run your business that way. And it's nobody's business how you do that. That's all about you and your brain. I'm here to show you that you don't have to follow any rules. As a matter of fact, if you've never heard my credo before, it's fuck the rules. There aren't any. We're all just making it up as we go along. So you may as well just do it the way that works for you. And lastly, the biggest part of being a rebel or a disruptor is I want to help women and myself make a shit ton of money, because that is how we change the fucking world. That is where we put our money, how we hire, what we do, how we help others, the way we create community, the way we support people is just different. And I talked about that recently in an episode, but I mean it. I mean it. I mean, that is really how we as individuals, and then as a collective, at least the collective that's around me, that's how we shake shit up and change the world. That's disruptive. That's disruptive to the status quo of the male dominant figures in business. We get to do that shit too. So The real question for me isn't, am I a disruptor? It's what kind of disruption am I here to create? And when it comes to that, I am crystal fucking clear. So even though it threw me for a loop, it was really kind of cool because it made me really think about what that meant to me. And I would love to know what that means to you, being a rebel, being a disruptor, being an industry leader, being the go-to. What do those things mean to you? Why are those things important to you? So yeah, let me know that. And now shifting to our final train of thought. This is going to be a little bit more of a call you out moment. And I want to ask you if you are acting like a CEO in your business or are you behaving like an employee? Okay. Here's what I mean. I want you to be like brutally honest with yourself. Are you still thinking and operating like an employee and you're all up in everything, every part of your business? Or are you starting to simplify, automate certain that they run for you and support you and help you create income actually through automation, not just by selling your time for money? Or are you more in that CEO role? Are you in that messy middle? That's really what I help with the best, really, is helping people, women specifically, get out of that messy middle and out of that survival mode feeling. And that is what I love to do. Employees wait for direction, play small, or hold themselves back. Or I guess playing small really means to me, what is it you aren't saying? What is it you're holding back? What is it you are wanting to say so badly, but you're not? That's a way to play small. And are you focusing on tasks? This task, that task, the other task. CEOs, the way that I differentiate the two, just for clarity for you, is CEOs make swift decisions. They set boundaries in their business with themselves, with their clients, and they move with authority. And one of the things I know with ADHD women or ADHD humans is we have trouble with authority, like authority figures. So we may be like, oh, I don't want to be an authority because we think of that as a negative thing. But I want you to reframe it. An authority means you are the best at what you do and you know exactly what's in your wheelhouse. And you are a thought leader, meaning you don't wait for other people to kind of tell you how to say something or do something. You put out new or fresh ideas or perspectives, right? And I have talked about that before. But what I didn't talk about was the fact that we sometimes see authority as a negative thing. And so when you reframe it, like I just shared with you, stepping into authority becomes a lot more simple. Not easy, but it becomes more simple because you understand you're not here to just like tell people what to do. You're here to guide the people that you are here to guide the best with the most innovative and brilliant and genius and fun ways that you have to offer. So I want to give you some signs that you might be stuck in that employee energy and a couple of ways to look at how to step into more of that CEO role in your business. Signs that you might be stuck in employee energy. You constantly ask for permission or second guess your choices, or you ask for people's opinions all the time on different parts or aspects of your business. I am not talking about a business mentor or coach. I am not talking about one or two of your business besties. I'm talking about you send that shit to everyone all the time going, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? What do you think of this? You want to know why I know this is employee energy? Because I was like that. I did that shit all the time. Now, nope. I make decisions and I walk, I go, I run with it. So if you feel like you're asking permission or second guessing your choices, that's something you're going to want to take a look at. You are reactive in your business instead of proactive. So that means you're always reacting to things and putting out fires instead of knowing what those next couple of steps look like. It's not always about being in a tight frame. It's about being in managed, like a chaos you feel good in, or that you are managing well, like how you run your business feels good and normal to the way you're natural, to the way your brain works, and you get to be more proactive. So instead of, let's say, always sending out things and always doing, you're there actually to receive and respond. That's more of being like a CEO. You underprice yourself, but it's not yourself you're underpricing. It's your work. It's the transformation you provide. You underprice that, and then you overwork to quote unquote earn your worth. Your worth has nothing to do with money. I'm sure you have heard that a lot from a lot of different people, but I'm going to say it again because it's true, and it's something that plagues us as ADHD women sometimes. We equate our business success or our financial success with our worth and our value, and they are not combined. They are two totally different things. Another thing that is employee energy is you feel like you're drowning in tasks instead of leading with a strategy that works the way you do. Strategy doesn't have to be this chokehold, restrictive fucking thing. It gets to be a strategy that you put into place that feels good to you. That is strategy, my friend. That is strategy. And so let's look at what stepping into more of that CEO energy, what that means, so that you can take a look at these different things and figure out, okay, well, which one am I in? Making bold, unapologetic decisions, setting clear boundaries around your time and your energy so that you are not leaking energy, you're not leaking time. Time is finite. Everything else is a renewable resource, but your time isn't. Setting boundaries in your business is an absolute must. Structuring your business in a way that serves you and your clients both, that it gives you the life that you want to lead and also has the impact on the people that you work with in the way you want to give them the impact, giving them as much as you can. For me, when I'm in super close, the way that I coach everyone doesn't differ. It doesn't differ whether it's a one-off session or you are with me for 6 months or a year. I'm going to coach you or mentor you the same way. But I also know this little thing called capacity. I know I can take 2 high level clients at one time. And then I know how many people in each of the offers I have that are my capacity. Do you know that? Do you not know your capacity? Because part of running around like a chicken with your head cut off is not knowing your capacity and thinking you have to just say yes to everything, everyone, all the time, and letting people just shit all over your boundaries. That ain't it, baby. And then charging in a way that lines up with your expertise and the transformation you provide, not just trading time for money. And this is interesting. This came up. I was having a conversation with a friend, and she was considering doing this offer that a few people had kind of asked her about. They brought to her, and she had done it a little bit with a couple friends, and she was like, oh, I really like this. This is fucking fun. And so we were talking, she's like, what? Because this is not, this type of offer is not something that she would normally put out there. And she's like, what do you think? So we kind of chatted about that, just because it was more like what is, realistic in the marketplace, but not only in the marketplace, based on her experience. And so we talked about it. I'm like, what's the transformation you're offering? If you help them get clear on X thing, this could impact their business in a way where they start having positive revenue if they weren't, or what if they have 50,000 increase a year in their business, right? So the more we went back and forth about it, I was like, okay, well, here's what I charge for just a one-on-one session. That's a one-off. And that's if just a Q&A, you can ask me anything. And then I have an intensive that has a very specific outcome. That is a little bit higher because it is a very specific, very direct thing. And I kind of gave her a range. And what our discussion was about was the transformation, not her worth, not her value, what it will do for the people's businesses that she is helping. with this specific thing. And I gave her the range and she was like, "Yep, that's right about where I was thinking." And I was like, "Sweet." you know, that conversation is not a conversation I would have probably had a year ago with that much ease, for sure, because I was still stuck in valuing, um, thinking that I was exchanging myself for money. Not in that way. You know what I'm saying? My time for money, and that what I was worth. Once that mindset shift hit of the transformation piece, that is when another level of CEO just kind of that I just embodied that shit. And now am not afraid to have those conversations, no matter who it's with. And I will be frank. Well, I'll be Carrie, but I will be straight up. And it's like, here's my opinion, take it or leave it. But what I will say, when you kind of get out of that survival mode part and you really start to lean more into that power that you have always had, it's always in you. It's not like it's not there. It's just, it's like begging to come out and you don't know how to let it out just because of all the negative messages you've had for so long in your life. This is where that mindset shift really, really helps. And this shift is fucking everything. If you want to scale, it has to happen. If you've hit a revenue wall, or ceiling, it has to happen. And I don't say that to be an asshole. I say that because I'm around women at all different levels and I see the things that shift their businesses on a regular basis. These are neurodivergent women, not just, these are the people in my world. And it really makes all the difference. And it really, really makes all the difference in the world. And one last thing, I don't usually like throw my offers around on the podcast because I really do want them to be informative, but I am really excited about something. And so I am going to share it here. It is available now. So if this is something that you want to discuss with me, just DM me on Instagram. My handle is inside of the show notes. So is my email. So you can do that. But I've had the Neurospicy Sisterhood for a while. It started off as a beta program and I was trying to like really figure out what it's meant to be. And it has evolved into something so fucking awesome. And so what it is 3 times a month we have calls. There's masterclass and also Q&A. There's all different levels of women in there, but definitely women who've been in business for a while. And I also created a course called Unfuck Your Money, Honey. And you can purchase that separate by in and of itself. It's a standalone. It will help you get out of feeling like you're, in solopreneurship hell and help walk you across the bridge to having a business that really runs in the way that you do. And I was looking over my offers and I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I took that offer and married it with the sisterhood so that you get the course inside of the sisterhood. Plus, there's also a library of other mini masterclasses and trainings in there that's consistently growing. What if I put that in there so that as you take that course, you get to come in and ask your questions, because that is part of what the sisterhood is this hot seat coaching or Q&A type of feel to it. And I was like, that is a full body fuck yes. So the Neurospicy Sisterhood now includes Unfuck Your Money, Honey. And that is got short bite-sized modules that'll kind of walk you through how to cross that bridge. And then inside the sisterhood, you get to come in. And as you're taking that, because you know how it can be with courses, is a lot of times for some of us, it'll just collect dust in our email. But this way, you actually go through it, you have all the tenets of everything I'm teaching, and you get to ask questions specific to you. And I was like, this just feels so fucking solid. So I have married these two offers together. Again, the course is available in and of itself if you just want to take that. But if you want to take that and have a little additional support, ask me about the sisterhood, because you will get both. And it is an incredible place. The women inside are ridiculously smart. Their businesses are super freaking cool. And I am going to be launching a higher level mastermind soon, but this is a mastermind style coaching place. And it is also backed up with this offer that I had just created. And it's interesting. The universe has just been like, hey girl, this shit's supposed to be married together. I'm like, yes, it is. So that is where we're at now. It is one of my favorite parts of the week. And it's on Thursdays, the second, third, and fourth Thursday of the month, first week. There's nothing, it's 3 meetings per month. And there is also a inside of Instagram, I created a group chat. You can be part of it. You can be part of it for a while and opt out. It's up to you. But community and connection are two of my biggest values. And so the sisterhood is named the Neurospicy Sisterhood for a reason, because it is a sisterhood. There are women who have been inside, who met one another along the way and have done business with each other. It's an incredible way to network as well with other service providers or other people that maybe who you can help you with like accountability. There's so many benefits to it. So I'd love to chat about it with you. If you have any questions about it, please let me know. And with that, I am going to end today's episode. If you loved it, again, subscribe, give it a 5-star review, tell a friend, drop in my DMs and tell me what you got out of the episode. I am a connection queen. So community and your feedback as a listener is something that I want. I want to hear what you took with you from these episodes. It makes my heart so happy, even if it's a little nugget that just really changes your mind or your perspective on something. That is why I do this podcast. And I fucking love doing this podcast. So I'm so grateful to all of those who come back week after week. And, I'm just living in a lot of gratitude these last few days, especially after that anniversary yesterday of my diagnosis, and really just reflecting on how much has changed in the last 2 years and how wild that feels some days. So until next week, I see you. I love you. I'm fucking rooting for you always. Stay feral, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, hey, you're still here. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. Be sure to check out the show notes for all the ways to follow me. And of course, my goal is to find and help as many women with ADHD get away from the 9-to-5 grind, because it's just not designed for our neurospicy brilliance, and there are other ways to do life. So by subscribing, sharing, and giving a 5-star review, that helps other women find this podcast as well. And if there's an episode you really love, please feel free to take a screenshot and share it on your social and tag me in it so that I can thank you personally. Until next time, you spicy brained unicorn. Bye.